Childs is a certified life and career coach specializing in positive psychology, also known as the science of happiness, creative living, and spiritual lifestyle development. She's also a writer and I worked really hard at getting this right, Kripalu yoga teacher. Thank you. She leads workshops every spring and fall on positive psychology and on the artist's way, a spiritual path to higher creativity. Kim's writing is featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Natural Awakenings magazine, the Kripalu Yoga Center's blog, Thrive, and her own blog, A Pilgrim on the Path. You can learn more about Kim's coaching, classes, and conscious living ideas at kimchilds.com. So, welcome, Kim.
I can't tell you how many people have pronounced that cripple you. I'm like, you don't, a yoga center? No. So well done, Maria.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy New Year. Yeah. I'm curious how many are here because the topic interested you. Great.
And before we go on, let's make sure that since you just mentioned that, if you could put your email address, name, and info here. We'll just pass this around. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Yeah, everyone should have, speaking of that, you should have something to write on and write with.
Yes.
If you're missing that, please let me know.
All set.
And you should have a handout with my spring offerings if you're interested in coming to my workshops. And my card, I give free initial consultations. I have an office in Brattle Square in Arlington, and I also work with people via Skype and phone. So you can feel free to take me up on that offer if after today you're interested in a life or career coaching free consultation. And at the end, because I don't want you peeking, I'm going to give you a handout with what we did today so you can practice at home and explore further resources. Curious, who's familiar with positive psychology? Great. Oh, great. Martin Seligman, for example? Yes, come across that name? Great. Who else have you read or heard speak about positive psychology?
Barbara Fredrickson.
Wonderful. Great. So I'll read you a quote from someone a little older than those folks, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Because positive psychology goes all the way back to the Greeks and the philosophers of old. And Emerson certainly studied those and influenced a lot of people himself. And he said, to get up each morning with the resolve to be happy is to set our own conditions to the events of each day. To do this is to condition circumstances instead of being conditioned by them, right? So having the attitude that I'm going to talk about, appreciative inquiry is called, how to look for what's going well, what's good, what we can do, what's in our control, no matter what's happening, because life is guaranteed to let us down and bring loss and hardship. So positive psychology is not denying those hardships, it's helping us be more optimistic and resilient in life as life shows up. So versus, so Emerson's quote speaks to having this intentionality. I'm going to look for the good. I'm going to look for what's going well, versus waking up, grabbing the smartphone, and starting to react to everyone else's agendas, right? How many of us do that sometimes? Yeah, right. So we're conditioned that way, and let's see if we can, in this new year, I'm a big believer in morning rituals, for example, taking some time in the morning to be intentional, to be with yourself. However that shows up for you before you jump into the day and engage with all those people out there. Okay, so today's going to be interactive, and because there's so many of you, which is a wonderful thing, not everyone will get a chance to share, but I'm going to invite you after some of the exercises to share what you're comfortable, anyone who's comfortable sharing. And so it's a participatory event. And will someone help me keep track of the time, because I want to abide by the, we want to end by
9? A few minutes before?
a few minutes.
Are you taking questions and answers?
I think
At the
because
end?
we're starting so late, I'm going to invite anyone who wants to reach out to me to ask questions, or stay. I'll be here. I'll be here after.
So we should probably end, we have a raffle at the end.
Okay.
We should probably end about 7 minutes before,
7 minutes to 9.
But Maria will let you know.
Okay. All right, great. So, positive psychology, what is it? It's a field of research and science that emerged in the late 90s as a field of study properly. Like I said, it has roots going centuries back in the thinkers and philosophers and even spiritual teachers of our world. The father of positive psychology is a man named Martin Seligman. He's out of UPenn. And on the handout that you'll take home today, you'll have references to, you'll have a book list of people like Martin Seligman, Barbara Fredrickson, Sonia Lieber-Mirsky, the founders, the leaders of positive psychology. So it developed as this field in the late 90s as a complement to traditional psychology, which tended to look at pathology, what's wrong with people and how can we fix it, which has a tremendous value. But positive psychology said, well, what's going right with the people who are thriving and resilient and optimistic no matter what life is bringing them? What are they doing that's different? Let's study what practices and mental habits and lifestyle choices foster optimism, resilience, and thriving. So what I'm going to offer you today is some sampling of some of the greatest hits of positive psychology practices, and invite you to do them. So, Sonia Lieber-Mirsky, one of the mothers of positive psychology, did some research with her team and found that about 50% of our potential to be happy is genetically inherited, which is good news if you come from a happy family and permission to have a tough time if you come from a family of depressives like I actually do. So that information was helpful to me to know, okay, 50%, and then 10%, she says, of our happiness potential relates to our circumstances. So as long as our basic needs are met, we're not talking about being in crisis or war zones, but if we have food, shelter, employment, income, etc., some sustaining relationships, those conditions only influence us 10%. The remaining 40% is what we do and think and affirm and practice. Because the greatest tool you have, anyone know? Greatest tool you have in your life for shaping it the way you want it to go.
Your brain.
Yourself, your mind.
Your mind, your brain, right.
Smile.
Smile? Yeah, sure. Your mind, absolutely. Ever seen that bumper sticker, don't believe everything you think? Yeah, it's a good piece of advice. And what the science is showing now is that positive thoughts, and not fake pink painting thoughts, like pretending everything's fine when it's not, but thoughts that direct us in a more positive direction, grow neurons in the brain in that direction and thicken those parts of the brain. So we can actually reshape our brain in the direction of more optimism, resilience, and positivity by the thoughts we choose to think and affirm. Okay, so that's the good news. No matter what the brain's been doing for all these decades, we can start to, and those other neural pathways for negativity, they don't go away, unfortunately, but they kind of wither when we stop feeding them. So the metaphor for me is a garden, you know. You're going to water the weeds, or you're going to water those flowers and vegetable plants. So I invite you to take that with you. You know, what am I thinking in this moment, and is it directing me toward what I desire or what's more helpful, or am I ruminating? So one takes us on a downward spiral, right, when we're ruminating and obsessing. Positive emotions broaden and build. They take us on an upward spiral. Our thinking is more creative, broadened, resourceful when we're doing some of these practices. So enough lecture. For now, I'm going to invite you to set things aside. Make sure your phone's on mute or something like that. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes or relax your eyes if that's uncomfortable. So whatever's comfortable, but relax or close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and say, do it again. Breathe in all the way into the belly and say, if I had some lovely music, it would be playing right now. But just imagine your whole body kind of sinking into the chair. Just let your shoulders drop. Let your face soften. Eyes relax. Soft gaze if your eyes are open. Let your breathing smooth out. Just connecting with the innermost part of you, or wherever you perceive that to be. So in this space of a little more relaxed quietness, I'd like you to review the last year in your mind. Go back through 2015, like a movie. You're going to get a handout, by the way, with all these practices. You don't need to remember. So reviewing 2015 like a movie, no matter what was hard, or what pain or loss you suffered, look for what went well in 2015. You can scan areas like work, career, health and fitness, family, creativity, spirituality, personal growth, hobbies, recreation, social life, community life, friendships. Thinking back on last year, pick out just one thing that went well. There's many, great, but pick one thing that went very well for you last year. Now, as you think of that area of your life or an event or something, ask yourself, why did it go well? Why do I think it went well? What circumstances helped it to go well? What was your part in making it go well? What went well and why did it go well? Now staying in that quiet place, bringing yourself to this moment, what are you grateful for right now? One thing. Maybe it's something you've never thought of. What are you grateful for right now? And why? What does this thing for which you're grateful give you, allow you to do? How does it help you? What are you grateful for right now and why? It's nice to see if you can feel that gratitude in your body, by the way, maybe your heart, maybe somewhere else. See if it registers this thing for which you're grateful, or person. See if it registers anywhere in your body. How do you feel physically when you imagine this gratitude? And now the third question, thinking about today or the weekend about to be here, what are you looking forward to? One thing. What are you looking forward to between now and Monday? One thing. And as you think of that thing you're looking forward to, imagine yourself there, in the situation. I see some smiles, that's great. So yeah, really be there and kind of marinate in that good feeling. Imagine it going well. Imagine it bringing you pleasure. What are you looking forward to? And now as you're ready, staying in silence, I want you to grab your pen and paper and write down what went well last year and why. What am I grateful for now and why? What am I looking forward to? If you forget any of those questions, just raise your hand and I'll remind you. Now at the end of each row, I've placed a pile of papers. If you could pass one to your neighbor and go down the row. This is the list of what I've asked you to do today. So you can take it home with you. It has my logo at the top, little purple person reaching for a star. Or no, maybe black and white. So I want you to have that. If you don't have it, or if I didn't give enough copies there, raise your hand. Yeah. You guys don't have one at that table? So, we're going to get extra copies. Again, I really want you to, okay, here's the sentence to remember. Information doesn't lead to transformation without implementation. So what does that mean, Kathy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just like practicing gratitude. I have a little jar, and if I'm using that jar and putting in the little slips of paper every day, it's like, it just gets me to be more engaged with what I'm grateful for.
Thank you. Practice. She used the word practice perfectly. You have to do it regularly and often. Now, not all of these practices will appeal to you. It's not a one-size-fits-all. But find the one that you like and practice it regularly to change your life, to change your brain. So, information only leads to transformation with
Implementation.
Great. So that's what that sheet's for, and we're making some extra copies. So, anyone want to share how the exercise was for you? Was one easier to answer than the other? Want to share an answer? I'd love, yes.
I don't think I'm alone in the last answer. Picture myself watching the Patriots win.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like on New Year's came, my husband and I said, this is the year, this is going to be the year, we're going to make things, it's going to be a good year. And when we were doing this exercise, I thought, wow, so many good things happened in 2015. I had no idea, I just kept counting and counting, and I said, wow, it was a good year.
Wow. And could you think of one thing that went well and why?
Yeah, but I don't want to share.
Oh, no worries. And
I've been rowing, sculling
Oh,
for a long time, or for several years, 3 years actually, 4. And I finally got to the point where I could actually, I felt competent and, I could get in the boat and just take off. And I did a race. And so that was 2015. And why is because I made it a regular habit and didn't bail in the morning, and then it just so it got to be a habit, and I kept going. I think it was again the practicing, the implementation.
Great. So what went well is, it used to be called 3 Blessings. It's a practice developed by Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, and he and his research team at UPenn found that people who did it regularly after a month were less depressed and more optimistic. And adding the why helps you see how your own behavior makes a difference, how you can have an impact, your own efficacy, your own agency in life, what you do makes a difference. And also, remembering conditions that made things go well can help you replicate those strategies for success again. Oh, I remember that this went well because blah, blah, blah. Let me practice
And
those
I did
strategies.
it at the same time every day. That was really helpful for me.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Not always possible.
yeah. That's a great example. Anyone have a gratitude to share and the why you're grateful?
Yes. I'm grateful for the friendship of my best friend. I lost my ex-husband last year, and some other really bad things happened, and she was always there for me. Always.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll jump in and say that in the last year and a half, I've lost 3 uncles. I almost lost my dad. I went through a divorce. And then I lost my cat. Oh, a baby cat. So I, too, am grateful for the friends who showed up. Grief and loss are tricky. And sometimes you lose people in the process beyond the actual person you lost because people don't know how to be with it. It's difficult. And so seeing who does come forward, including strangers, just incredible kindness that came forward is what I'll talk about in a minute, the benefit finding. Amid the loss, amid the pain, amid the suffering, what benefits, what blessings, what learning or growth came out of it is another positive psychology practice. So we heard about what you're looking forward to, go backs, and what went well and why, and what you're grateful for. Those are great examples. I thank you guys for sharing. The handout will indicate that the practice, the what went well is a nightly practice. So before you go to bed, thinking back on the day, what went well today? And why? 3 things. It can be a great way to interact with your family or spouse too. You can make this a practice with your partner or do it at the family dinner table or at meetings. Hey gang, what went well this week? American alarm people, right? What's going well, right? It's not to ignore problems, but it's to, what we call in coaching, solutions focus. It's to direct our mind toward and borrow energy and motivation from what's going well to address what could use some help. So, and then the gratitude practice, it's been out in the culture for a long time since Sarah Van Brackneth, Simple Abundance Lady, was a big star on Oprah. And the best research on gratitude comes from Robert Emmons and Michael McCulloch. They took this 4 study groups, 4 research groups, 4 groups of participants, I should say, and gave them a different practice each night. So one group wrote about 5 things they were grateful for every night. The other group wrote about 5 hassles from the day. The other group wrote about 5 ways they felt superior to other people. And the last group wrote about random things that happened today. Who do you think fared the worst? The hassles, right? Because what's that doing? Oh yeah, focus on the negative, right? Who do you think fared the best? Huh?
Positive.
The gratitude writers, yeah. So that's a practice for the evening or the morning. What are you grateful for? And the last one, what are you looking forward to, is also from Martin Seligman's research. It's called prospection, right? Introspection is looking in, prospection looking forward. Human brains are uniquely equipped for that, looking forward, but we often use it to what?
Look back.
Huh?
Look back.
We often lose it, but when we're looking forward in a negative way, we're often worrying, anxious, right? So the practice of what are we looking forward to redirects us. And it also, in the moment, cultivates positive emotions. Who, as you were thinking about what you were looking forward to, started to feel good?
Oh,
I saw that big smile on your face. It was
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you say a little bit more about it?
This weekend, I will be up in New Hampshire with my 2-year-old granddaughter, giving her her first cooking lesson. And I bought her an entire chef outfit. With the hat and the mitt and the pans that are all real on an easy bake oven. And I'm going to teach her how to cook pizza and brownies. Is there anything better than that? And she loves me to death.
Who remembers Easy Bake Ovens?
Oh, yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So it engenders positive emotions in the moment, and it also, as you forecast it, predict it, imagine it going well, it enhances the chance that it will go better. I mean, there are detours, of course. Things don't always go as we like, and that's a guarantee. But you bring a better self, a more optimistic self to the experience when you've imagined it going well. From a job interview to a difficult conversation you have to have with somebody to a pleasurable experience. So that's a morning practice. What am I looking forward to today? Versus what am I stressed out about today, right? What am I looking forward to? Is also a research-based practice that was shown to reduce depression, increase optimism, again. So what went well each night, what are you grateful for, morning or night, and the morning practice of what am I looking forward to are on your handouts, and they're yours to try. Pick one or two and do it regularly, because practice
Makes perfect.
The other thing about gratitude, who remembers the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway? Susan Jeffers. Yeah. I remember when I was listening to her in the mid 90s on tape, she said, every night write down a 50-item gratitude list. And I went, huh? But I tried it, and what happens is, what do you spend the day doing?
Just thinking about that.
Thinking about what you're right.
Thinking about what you're right, but more important,
Trying to find it.
looking for what's going well and what you can write on your list that night. From an incidental interaction with a clerk, to a conversation, to whatever. Feeling good. So it engages what's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system that helps us find what we're directing it to look for. So like when you decide you want to buy a car and you think, oh, maybe a Toyota Prius, what do you start seeing everywhere?
Right.
So that's the part of the brain. So what am I grateful for? Giving it that job to start looking for. What's going well? Giving it that job. And there's something called the gratitude letter, which also comes from Mr. Seligman. And on your handout, there's a reference to it. You can Google a few words there that I've written and find it on YouTube. And it involves writing a letter of sincere, specific gratitude to someone who's impacted your life positively, and then showing up and reading it to them. If they're no longer here, if they're passed on, you can. The exercise still has benefits. But if you can do it with them on the phone or Skype or in person, it's quite moving, quite powerful for you and the recipient of your gratitude. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, life includes loss, pain, hardship, death, illness, setbacks, obstacles, right? So again, positive psychology doesn't deny that those things happen, but it asks us, to have our real emotions, have your tears, have your tantrum, get support. Let the emotions, emotions, energy and motion, let it move through you. Don't suppress. But then once you've had your authentic response and had your feelings about it, start to ask such questions as, what can I learn or gain from this? What do I want instead? How can I grow from this? Is there anything about the situation for which I can be grateful? For me, that often shows up as what could have happened that could have been worse, what didn't happen. And asking, what next? Instead of, why me? Right? Are all questions, again, appreciative inquiry, questions that direct us toward the good, toward what's going well, toward what's in our control. When things feel out of control, what can we control? You know, asking that is another good question. What can I control? And we may have an overinflated sense of that, by the way, which is another. Letting go of what you can't control is the opposite of that, or corollary to that. So that's called benefit finding, amid hardship, amid loss. Finding the potential benefits, right? Not ignoring, not denying.
Well, I would just like to take this opportunity right now that my husband just texted me to say that we did not win the Powerball. But the good news is that maybe you guys did, so I'll share that with you.
So here's some, thank you for that. I was going to make a Powerball joke. I did look up the winners. Tennessee,
Yes.
Florida, and California.
Yeah.
So yay for them, right? In Buddhism, that's called sympathetic joy. So have pleasure and happiness for those who did win, and for other people's fortune, good fortune. So the thing is, they've looked at lottery winners and people who were struck paraplegic, for example, and a year after the big great thing or the hard thing that happened, they were basically at the same level of happiness as they were before. So that's, again, what I'm talking about, that happiness set point. And that's how these practices can change and raise our happiness set point. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Can I just ask something?
Yes, sure.
They were at the same point of happiness that they were prior to, say, becoming a paraplegic or becoming a lottery ball. Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Heard that? You know?
Yeah, you can't.
We bring who we are to all good and bad
really
experiences.
escape it. Yeah.
So that's why we have to practice these things to override or enhance. If we already have a pretty high happiness set point, we can raise it. If we are struggling, and some of it's genetic, as I said, we can still boost with these practices. And you know, there's a saying in Buddhism also, no mud, no lotus. So it doesn't just say that life, oh, by the way, life includes hardship. It says, oh, we grow through it. We grow in the mud, you know? The pearl in the oyster, right? How does it become a pearl? By getting rubbed by sand, you know? So, okay. So does anyone have an example about a hardship in your life that actually proved beneficial or growthful?
Yes.
Yours was a great example. Losing someone, but also gaining closer friendship. Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in 2005, and that, out of nowhere, like no one identified anything neurological, and that caused a whole bunch of lifestyle changes for me, and ultimately led to me changing my career into doing what I do now, and I've been doing this now for 7 years. It's my favorite job ever. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. So, yeah. And oh, by the way, I've been relapse-free for 10 years. So.
That is a great example. Thank you, and congratulations.
Yep.
So because of time, I want to do one last practice with you, and I'm jumping to it. So, oh, finally, I just want to say, whichever practice you try on, if you so choose, it's nice to create rituals around it. So maybe playing some music, lighting a candle as you're writing your list, or pouring a nice cup of tea, and creating rituals around a gratitude list, or the what went well practice, or what am I looking forward to. It can be something you do in the shower, by the way. What am I looking forward to today versus, oh, that meeting. Oh, that. So give it a shot. create rituals. They ground us and honor us, really, creating a more sacred and meaningful life. So the last thing is, anyone heard the word Kaizen? Japanese word? Kaizen. Yeah, it means continual improvement. It's the characters for change and good. Change is good. Kaizen tells us that any change we want to make in life will likely go well if we start small, tiny change that can be sustained, quickly returned to when we fall off the wagon, and built upon. So I want you to get quiet for a moment now again and think about a deep desire you have for this year. Still New Year. Think of a deep desire. If you can imagine sitting in this room a year from now and the desire is fulfilled, how are you being, feeling? What's different? If this deepest desire in you has manifested, something you can control, in other words, something you can make happen. My deep desire a year from now is to feel more peace, more inner peace, and more connected to my spiritual source. One thing I'm doing is 8 minutes a morning of meditation. Just 8. I like the number 8. So just 8. And I'm doing it imperfectly, absolutely imperfectly, but I'm doing it. So identify now one tiny step you can take toward that deep desire. Tiny. In your life as it exists right now, what can you do to be 5% closer to that desire or goal accomplished? Write it down. I will. Kaizen changes how the Japanese improved their economy after the devastation of the Second World War. So they can do that.
Kim, how would you spell that?
K-A-I-Z-E-N, Zen. Kaizen. Yeah, change is good.
And I didn't win the lottery.
So anyone want to tell me a step you're committing to? There's power in saying it out loud. Yeah. Great. What's your tiny step?
Start to make shakes for work, bring your shakes.
Beautiful. You know, I started a smoothie habit about 3 years ago, and I'll tell you some tips. Have all the vegetables or ingredients in one section of the fridge, maybe even already chopped up. Blend it, and then wash the blender right away because it gets sticky. So.
I've had it sitting on my bedroom floor in a box for 2 years.
Oh.
So I already have it here.
Good.
And store it in my locker, so
Fabulous.
I just have to get it to the house
So the next time I see you, I'm going to ask you, how's that smoothie practice going?
I will have it.
Or shakes.
Process. So.
Great.
So I think we have time.
Okay, so just quickly, I want to say that, well, thank you. You were all really good sports, so give yourselves a hand. Reach out to me if you have questions or want to come in for a consult. And remember that happiness is not a destination, but an ongoing practice. And I have a Facebook page for Facebook folks. It's called Take the Leap Coaching with Kim Child. So you can like my Facebook page, and I put inspirational quotes and links and things like that every day.
Can I just have a comment? You already sent me a newsletter, and last year, right before New Year's, you sent a newsletter saying that right before New Year's, get rid of all your negatives and start fresh with the positives. I kept that newsletter, and I look at it, and I did it last year. At New Year's Eve, I threw out all the negatives, and I started all positive, and I still have it. It was great. It helped me.
Yeah, it's a ritual called the burning burning bowl ceremony you can do on New Year's Eve. That is great. So just quickly, sorry, I teach workshops every spring and fall. These are the books. You can come up and look at them. This is Awakening Joy, The Artist's Way, and Happy for No Reason, which is a course based on what we were doing today. So.
And Kim is raffling off 2 of her favorite books, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love Cheryl Richardson. You guys know Cheryl
Yeah,
Richardson?
yeah.
This is a fabulous book.
Yeah.
And this I have a story in. Chicken Soup for the Soul, Dreams and
So,
Premonition.
Let's give Kim a big round of applause.
Thanks, everybody. I'm around if you have questions, or like I said, reach out to me via email. And if you, the newsletter that you so wonderfully endorsed is what you signed up for when you signed my mailing list. Or just go to my website, and you can, it says join Kim's email newsletter list or mailing list. And what you get back as a kickback is a 30-minute audio program I did on gratitude, the gratitude practice. So when you join my mailing list yourself on the homepage of my website, you'll get that audio program.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.